Hello there, namaste. So I'm heading on my way to go see Kalki. Yeah, it actually is airing. It's coming out for one day only near me. So I'm going to take this opportunity to actually go and check it out. Yeah, so I made it in, and no wonder theater tickets are so expensive. It's completely empty. So I'm enjoying the story of this film more than anything. However, I do have issues. I will be honest about that. I've already gotten halfway through. I'm actually seeing there's actually intermissions in the middle of the movie. I always thought that was just a placeholder because that's something that they used to do. But no, I'm actually getting a 10-minute intermission. I'm never experienced that in my life. This is the first time actually experiencing an intermission in a movie. I mean, I've gone to movie marathons where I've gotten, where they give you a break between movies. But other than that, I've never actually sat through a film which cut halfway through and was like, oh, time to take a break. I'm enjoying the story. I do have issues with some of the characters. However, overall, I'm absolutely loving it. So I finished Kalki 2898 AD, and this is going to be turned into a cinematic universe like everything else. But for the most part, I absolutely love it. It's a well done story, and the fact that it's based off like I can't pronounce that. I'd have to know how to say it. But the text or whatever, the fact that it's based off of that, I always find fascinating. And it's basically the world's gone to ruin. It's like the end times, the whatever your belief is. It's that point in time in the world, where the world's fallen apart, and it's gonna be born anew. And I love that. I absolutely love that. The fact that it's a rundown world, it's all destroyed. They had aspects where people are speaking different language. I wish they did more of that, where you have someone speaking like Japanese, another speaking Chinese. They basically just had English and the language I watched it in. I didn't watch it in Hindi. I don't know what I watched it in, honestly. I went there. It said it was in Hindi, and I'm just like, oh, I'm learning that. I'll go. And I'm like, I don't recognize any of this I'm hearing. It's definitely not the language I've been studying. So it was fine though. I was reading the subtitles, but I enjoyed it because it starts off with basically a guy who does an act of cruelty, who basically offs a mother with child, and basically targets the child. And after that, he's forced to suffer. He's forced to live through time, unable to die, but he can still feel pain. His body can still be weathered because the Lord basically deprives him of his power, carves it out of his head, and he'll get it back when his time comes to basically die. Because I've always enjoyed that aspect when it comes to stories like that with someone who's immortal. If you live forever, one of the things you absolutely want is, to end yourself, to pass on, especially if you can still feel pain. So I like that, because it was like, ooh, I like it when they do things like this. So he's basically forced to live for thousands of years until his time can come to where he can die. And I love that. That's Bashan's character. And that's how it starts off. I did not like how they de-aged him, though. I think they should have just had a different actor play him, because de-aging him, it looked like there's live action people, and then they're talking to a CGI character, and it just felt awful. That part right there felt awful. And then after they basically punish him, he gets punished for that. They tear his power basically away from him. They show glimpses, and this is where it went to like a nice bit of cartoon aspects, where it shows the evil of humanity. They had like the Great Crusades, they had like the Nazi Party, they had like slavery. They had glimpses of how cruel we humans could be, and I was like, I'm loving it. I love how they're showing the passage of time through criminal acts. And then he basically disappears from the story, and then it follows this little kid who's pretending to be a boy, or this little girl who's pretending to be a boy, as she's trying to stay away from being captured. And then you start being introduced to this dystopian world that is honestly very well done. It really does feel like you always get those stories where the rich and wealthy live up there, up in the main place, and everyone else's goal is to either be up there or they just live off of scraps from the base. And one thing that bothered me, I gotta say, is they make a huge thing about kids or like mothers being rare, but there are kids everywhere in the story. They have it in the safe place. They have kids everywhere. They have kids being taken when the little girl who's pretending to be a boy arrives at the last civilized city. They have kids everywhere. So that's one thing that still bothers me. It's just like, you're making it out for mothers to be rare, but they are everywhere. Because they basically try to capture all the girls who can bear children, and they take them up to the main safe haven to get pregnant, I guess. It's very weird. It sounds very wrong when I start to think of it. So I don't think of it too much. But other than that, I mean, the story is interesting because here this woman who was seen as unbarren, who's barren, who couldn't have kids, who ends up being 5 months pregnant, hiding it and concealing it from everyone else around. She conceals it until it gets discovered, and then she needs to escape. That's kind of where the story literally goes to an intermission, which I saw an intermission for the first time. But the story, I enjoy that. I enjoyed the aspect. I enjoyed like the villain. His goal is to live forever as well, and I guess he's like 200 years old because he's found a way to harvest the lifeblood, I guess, or energy of the unborn infants from all the harvested mothers. It's very dystopian, very barbaric when I start to actually talk about it and think about it. Very well done, I gotta say. Very well done. But this movie has its flaws. The CGI of Bashan in the beginning, that's something you can get over, something you can get past. The one thing that'll aggravates me is they had 30 minutes, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this because he's a famous actor, much beloved actor, but he had so many points. Most of the shots he's in the beginning of the film, useless, absolutely useless. It starts to work and then it doesn't. So I'm talking about Prabhas, the actor Prabhas. If I said his name, I'm sorry if I said it wrong. But they introduce him as a bounty hunter, like some people are hunting down someone who's worth 5,000 units, and his AI basically captures him, and it's like, oh, we got it, and then they spend like 5 minutes of a running gag of him wanting to sleep, but his AI unit is telling him, no, it's our bounty now, you gotta beat him up, and then he starts to fight them. And there's like 9 people to begin with. And then it's a running gag of how it turns from 9 people into 20 people into like 200 people he's fighting. And it starts to get absolutely annoying. So it goes to the point where like the joke in the beginning, for the first few seconds, I actually thought it was funny. But when they kept doing it, it pissed me off. Same thing with the fighting. I enjoyed it for the first 9 people where he was using like the cloaking and everything, the duplicates. I enjoyed that until they went too far with it. It's all the time when they start doing things like that. It's just like so well. It's just like, oh, we've got this famous actor. Let's throw him into these pointless scenes. You know what? He's got a fighting sequence. Let's give him an extra long fighting sequence with a bunch of nobodies. Because only one of those characters really came in. It was important for later in the story, and he was one of the first 9 that he fought. But yeah, it was just it's his character that really pisses me off. Even though after the intermission, I absolutely love him as a character. It's before the intermission because they have this sequence as well where he finds out that his base or his house is being raided by sharks because by loan sharks because he's taken money from everyone, taken units from everyone, and they all want units back, only to find out one of the sharks happens to be a scantily clad woman who has a thing for him. And then they go off on this whole different story arc where he basically goes up into the main complex to work, and in the end, none of those scenes have anything to do with the actual story. Because I was thinking, okay, he's gonna go up there and end up being involved with helping her escape. Like she's gonna be in the middle of escaping while he's trying to leave because he's only there for an hour. No, absolutely nothing there served a purpose. Now, I'm sorry, but Parabas, his character was just thrown in there. They could have removed 30, maybe 40 minutes of this movie if they wouldn't have had him in so many pointless scenes. That's the sad part. That's the sad part, because Bashan, all his scenes served a purpose. Even though the little girl was kind of annoying at times, he served a purpose. Probus, the introduction of him, did not. The relationship with that loan shark did not. And that's the one thing that I gotta say was absolutely aggravating. I did like how, I don't want to get into spoilers too much, but at the very end, why do they always do the ab suits? I gotta say, I liked Supreme when he was like completely, like where he looks starved almost. I liked it because he looked more scary when the sun's kind of bleeding out of his head. Because he's like, has his head all stitched and everything. He looks creepy and evil like that. And then at the very end, he doesn't look as scary anymore. Of course, he's the same villain as in every other movie, but he doesn't look as scary anymore. And I was like, I liked it when he looked all creepy and scary. But yeah, in the end, I really enjoy the film. I just gotta say, you've gotta skip through a lot of the introduction of the bounty hunter because it serves no purpose to the story overall. And I'm gonna get hate for saying it, but yeah, I feel bad that one of the first movies I actually enjoy with him in it is a movie where I don't like him in it. Because, at least for the first half. Second half, it serves a purpose. He wants his revenge. He wants to fight. He has a whole montage of upgrading his vehicle for like an hour. The fact that he uses someone, all the little things actually do help to, you know, add to the story. It's just the before the intermission had no purpose because that love interest is never heard from again. The loan sharks are never heard from again. All that stuff is never heard from again. The only thing that served a purpose was the bounty he captured at the beginning. But then in the end, they ran too long with all the running gags and all the fighting gags that it served no purpose. So, I like the movie. Definitely recommend it. Absolutely recommend it. Just skip through Parabas at the very beginning. Skip through his character arc. Anytime he's on screen, fast forward to the next bit, to where you get to the story. If you get to the story, you'll be happy. But seeing him on screen, not until after the intermission. As soon as you get after the intermission, he's enjoyable to watch because, well, they're not just padding the script because they got someone famous. But yeah, definitely worth the watch. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.